Namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita, offered by Bindoji from an Advaita perspective. We are on chapter 6, room number 12. The previous rooms are available for replay, for access to listen to again through replays in Clubhouse, or you could access through the link shared in the chat. Advaita Retold is a YouTube channel. There is also a link for the Apple Podcast and Spotify. If you want to go further into a reading material, there's a book published by Artemisia titled The Imaginary Door, Renderings of Bindo. And this book again is insights into Advaita from Bindoji's perspective, available on the Amazon platform. As you all join the live room, I'll close the chat and hand raising when the Bindoji is offering the class, after which we'll open up those channels for any questions or clarifications. As always, thank you very much, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. My invocations. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahatbhyo Namo Gurubhyah Shrutis Pradip Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Stunvanti Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapadakkamo Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyandi Yam Yogino Yasyandam Nabidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Oh. In the last class, there was a statement from Krishna, Tat Buddhigrahyam Atindriyam. That is accessible to the intelligence or the Antakarana. At the same time, it is Atindriyam, means transcendental. Now this confuses a lot of people in the sense that if it is accessible to the intellect or the Antakarana, it has to be an object. And at the same time, since it is not accessible by the Indriyas, which include the mind and the Antakarana, is it not contradictory that it is transcendental for the Indriyas, which include the Antakarana, and the Antakarana, it is accessible? If you look at the literal meaning, yes, it is contradictory to each other. Now let us look at two other statements from the Upanishad. One is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, which says that Yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha. That from where vachaha nivartante. Vachaha nivartante means the words return back, literal meaning. But it is indicated that is that all the senses fail to cognize or apprehend Atma. Not only that, aprapya manasa saha. And here he says buddhigrahi. So Krishna is contradicting the Upanishad. What does it mean by say aprapya manasa saha and buddhigrahyam? How do we reconcile this? Yato vacho nivartande and atindriyam, both are indicating the same meaning. So there is no confusion. Yato vacha nivartande means all the, not only walk, all the sense organs return back. It is not cognizable for them. Same thing, atindriyam means also it is transcendental, therefore sense organs cannot cognize it. But when it says that manas nivartande, the mind or the antakarana is, aprapya manasasaha. He cannot reach there. The mind cannot reach there. And buddhigrahyam means unknowable through the intellect or the antakarana. The mind which is aprapya is very clear in the Taittiriya saying that the mind along with the words means sense organs. So there the Taittiriya Upanishad statement is to be understood very clearly that mind along with words means all sense organs capabilities is not able to grasp it, which indicates that it is not an object for the sense organs. Not only that, the mind or the intellect or the antakarana is a extension of the capabilities or the potencies of the sense organs, both external as well as internal. Therefore, a mind which is trained by the sense organs, because the mind otherwise is not a mind unless it is having something to feed upon. And the feeding is being done by the sense organs, both external and internal. So when we look at that, so the mind which is being mentioned here is an extension of the indriyas, or the antakarana is a instrument which is controlled by the capabilities of the sense organs. Whereas here it says that sukham is buddhigrahi. It didn't say that the objects are sensitive, buddhigrahi. Atyantikam sukham buddhigrahi. So this atyantikam sukham is not the sukham which the sense organs are generating in our transactional world. Because we know the sukham or the happiness which is generated by the sense organs. They are time bound and perishable. Therefore it is not atyantikam. Here he is saying that atyantikam yat sukham, tat buddhigrahyam asti. That happiness or the state of being in a bliss of unending in nature. Atyantikam means endless or without diminishing, without variation. All those meanings can be done. So that is not accessible by the indriyas. So all the sukham which we are familiar with are produced by the indriyas contact with the sense objects. Here there is no contact of the sense organs with any object, because the antakarana is now turned inward without the dependency on the sense organs. So therefore, the potency of the antakarana, the buddhi, is something which cannot die down or stop or diminish, because in all the three states of waking, dream and deep sleep, the antakarana or the potency of the buddhi or the intellect or the antakarana is functioning. Never ever it was absent. In the waking we are familiar with. In the dream also we are familiar with, which we know the dream objects are known. In the deep sleep, we are not knowing any objectified knowledge. But at the same time, we are cognizing that there is no contact of objects, therefore I knew nothing. Because that statement of the kinchatavedisham, that statement is coming from the waker who is familiar with the functioning of the intellect when it is in contact with the sense objects. The waker is not familiar with the intellect, which is in a state where the sense organs are become non-operative. The only state which it knows is the deep sleep. And the deep sleep, the waker says, I was asleep. I never knew nothing. He says the dream, I was sleeping and I saw a dream. It is all the story told by the waker. So what happened to the buddhi grahyam, or the capability of the intellect or the antakarana to grasp something? Why? Because that is the nature or the prakriti or the swabhava of the antakarana. Now the antakarana, we can call it as an antakarana only when bahya karanas or the external instruments of apprehension feeds in data to the inner being, and that apprehends it. Otherwise, we are able to see the things, but when the things are in front of us, but we are not recording it in our antakarana, even if we are seeing, we may not observe it. It will be passing in front of us, we will not know it. Our knowing as a principle or an activity of what is fed by the external indriyas to the antakarana, to the inner instrument, is where the knowing takes place. And that knowing, we always understand it as seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting, etc. Other than these five, whether it is external or internal doesn't matter. Other than these five, we have no knowledge about any other knowing. So we are so engrossed in this knowing, in the waking, we are not able to notice the presence of the knowing faculty within us, which was present in waking, which is present in dream, which is present in deep sleep. That principle is unabated, continuous, and without any variation. It is there, but it is get clouded by the feeding of the sense organs in the waking, feeding of the inner sense organs in the dream, and the absence of these two if the deep sleep. Only when we become aware of that witnessing compound, that is the Sakshi, what we are talking about. That Sakshi is not something which is standing apart from waking, dream and deep sleep. In the Mandukya Upanishad, it is very clearly mentioned. It is not like the four legs of a cow, but it is like the four quarters of a dollar or a rupee. You cannot identify which is that. Therefore, it is Turiyam Chaturtam Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vitneyaha. It was mentioned that. That is the Buddhigrahyam, what is being referred in the Bhagavad Gita. Tat Sukham. That is Atyantika Sukham. Because we are not familiar with that Sukham, because we are unaware of it in the waking, unaware of it in the dream, unaware of it in the deep sleep. But in the deep sleep, we get a glimpse of the Sukham. That is why in the Chandogya Upanishad, it is mentioned that Sati Sambadhya na viduhu Sati Sambadhyamahe. Having become one with that Sat, Satchitananda, na viduhu, we never knew what? Sati Sambadhyamahe. We have become one with the Sat. We are the Buddhigrahyam in the deep sleep that we do not know. We record the absence of waking and dream, saying that I knew nothing. So Taittiriya Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad, we knew that, and Chandogya Upanishad. These three Upanishads we have related now. There is one more Upanishad which is talking the same. Yat manasana manute yenahur manomato. That which is not cognized by the mind, by which the mind becomes potential of knowing. That is what is being referred here again. The potency or the reality or the truth. Therefore, that is the tattvam. Tattvataha. That is the Atma, that is the tattvam, and that is the Atindriya Sukham, that is the Atyantika Sukham, that is the Buddhigrahyam. And na chalati. Once we are capable of recognizing that awareness aspect without contents in it, we can abide in it. And when we are abiding in it, what happens? That is what Krishna is talking in the 22nd verse. He says, Yab labdva cha aparam labham manyante na adigam tataha. Yasmin sito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. Yam labdva, having obtained which. Now, what is that which has been explained by me till now? The, the, the nature of the awareness or the truth or that with which every awareness or everything is consciousness, awareness, knowing, whatever name you want to call it is. That after having labdua means having obtained. Aparam labam tataha adhigam na manyate. One does not consider any other gain to be higher than that. Adhigam means higher than that. There is nothing higher than that to be achieved. Because why it is adhigam? Are we not getting the more and more in the waking? We are getting more knowledge in the waking because of the sense organs are able to feed us with all this thing, including the latest AI and everything in the thing. So how can you say na adhigam? How can you say there is nothing higher than that? Ask ourselves. It is in which even what is being known in the waking is also taking place. So, when we know that knowing principle itself in which every knowing takes place, will we be going for the tidbits of knowing taking place through the indriyas, or when we will be happy to be ever identifying ourselves with that knowing principle, awareness, consciousness? Therefore, one does not consider any other gain to be higher than that. Aparam labam tata adhikam na manyate. Yasmin stitaha, once established in that, guruna dukkhena api na vichalyate. One is not caused to waver even by the greatest suffering. Now this statement from Krishna confuses us. When we are talking about sukham, why is he talking about guruna dukkhena? Guruna dukkhena means gravest suffering. He is bringing this paradox between the Atyantikam Sukham and Guruna Dukkhena, only to make us understand that what dukkha we are facing, including the bandha, moksha, samsara, etc., what we think as our limitations or sorrow or pain or our conditioning, they are all infinitesimal compared to the happiness of being established in that knowledge or knowing or the consciousness or awareness. Think about it. That which surpasses all the measurable happiness and sorrow. It is in which the happiness and sorrow is being known. So when the knowing itself becomes our true nature, that is what we are. When it is known that, how can there be a dukkha, guruna dukkha, the gravest suffering, that can shake us and bring us back to our operational mind. A mind or antakarana which is abiding in the self, how can it come back and be associated with the dukkha? Here he is indicating toward the state of a Jivan Mukta. When he says that, Yasmin Sthitaha, the one who is established in it, he didn't use the word Jivan Mukta. But the statement that Guruna Dukkhena api na vichalyate is the definition for a Jivan Mukta. A Jivan Mukta, you might have seen people whom we recognized as Jnanis or Jivan Muktas. In their life, they have gone through many of their sufferings, bodily sufferings. That bodily suffering is seen by the Jivan Mukta or the one who is established in that Atyantikam Sukham. He is only knowing that Sukham because he is no more associating with his own body, because he is not the body anymore. He may transact with the body from our point of view. When we see a person of that nature, he will transact just as any other ordinary person. But his andakarana or his identification, the buddhigrahim atindriyam, is in the atyantikam sukha. So from his point of view, he is what we call as Atman, or what we call it as the buddhigrahya, or the knowledge. It is identifying with the functioning of the andakarana. Other than andakarana, let me ask a question. Other than the andakarana, do we have something to identify as I? Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. Nachat chotra sachve naham. That grakya netare. None of them thinks physical body, nor the indriyas, nor the inner indriyas, nor the mind, etc. None of them are me, because for me, I know them, therefore they are objects. But at the same time, the knowing principle with which I know them as objects, which I say, I know my mind, I know my intellect, I know my ego, I know my memories, I know my body, I know my body-mind complex, I know the world outside, I know the world inside. I even know the state of deep sleep where I know nothing. All those things, I can never say I know, I forgot myself, or I do not know I. Even when I say that I do not know I am present. So there is never a time when I am or the I, which is the buddhigrahyam which Krishna is saying. Or yasmin sthita. It cannot be named because no name can be used for it. Avyavaharyam. It is not a transactable object. Therefore, we have to understand this meaning of this verse in connection with the previous two verses. Then only we can get a clear picture. Now, looking at the words, let us go through the words and their meanings for the continuity or the pattern same. Yam labdva, the object of attainment or having obtained. Cha aparam labam, there is no gain superior to this. Aparam means anything beyond. Manyate, the one who has now turned inward, he regards it. Na adhigam. Na adhigam means superior or higher or greater than that. Tataha, other than that. That means from which he has now understood as the adhigam sukham. Yasmin stitaha means the firm establishment in that attained state. It is not a state actually speaking, it is the nature or it is the swarupa. Na guruna dukkhena api vichalyate. Na means no, dukkhena, sorrow. Guruna dukkhena means heaviest or the gravest sorrow. Api means even the greatest sorrow. Do not shake him. Vichalyate means to move from its position, to cause waver, to shake, or to abandon it. So that state is non-abandonable, if we can use a word like that. It is never ever we are away or out of it, apart from it. This is the I which I am talking about. Not the I, the ego, not the I, the body, mind, intellect complex, not the I which is related with my memories and the idea which I am being made as a bindu. No. You may be Prakash, you may be Revati, you may be Srinivas, you may be Venkat or anybody for that matter. That is all created out of your memory. Chitta. If memory is not there, you do not know who you are, but you still continue to know that I do not know who I am. So therefore, that is the one which is being referred here. Yadindabdva na param labha. Na param labha. And dukkhena na vichalyate. So there are two clauses here. Yam labdva, yasmin stitaha. These two clauses are defining characteristics of the yoga state or the siddhi or the mukta avastha or our true nature. Yam labdva means the evaluative supremacy or the recognition of the Atman as the highest possible attainment. And when it says yasmin stitaha, it is an effective invulnerability, the recognition's permanence under extreme duress. The first clause operates in the cognitive evaluative register of the antakarana. What the sthita yukta or the yogi or the one who has become a yukta thinks about the possible gains. His evaluative faculty has been permanently reoriented in the Atyantigam Sukham or the bliss of Atman, recognition. It is not that it is not evaluating, But it is seeing, having reached the ocean, the river do not have any more flow. Like that, having realized the Atyandigam Sukham of Atman or Brahman or our Swarupa, there is no other comparable. Evaluation is there, but it is incomparable. And in the second clause, Yasmin Sthita operates at the effective existential register. What the Sthita Yukta or the yogi experiences when subjected to maximum suffering. His establishment in the Swarupa Atman is so unshaken that the evaluative nature of the mind or the antakarana about the physical pains which are happening at the body level becomes infinitesimal or ignorable or even unregistered, because he's so deep is the depth of happiness of his own nature that the body is no more recognized as his own body. Together they cover the full scope of Atman's recognition, and it's invulnerability, invulnerable to the pull of the higher gains or push of the sufferings, both pull and push. Now this is being used in the next verse to define what is yoga avastha. So Yukta, who has attained the Atyantika Buddhigrahya Adindriya Sukha as his own Atman, recognized as a Brahman, is the one which says that Nirvana Parama Mat Samstha Shanti, which was mentioned in the 15th verse. He considers no further gain superior to him. Na adhigam sugam manyate. This is not mere preference with which he is making a choice. It is not a choice made by the intellect or the antakarana. It is the recognition of the antakarana that it is pure awareness, consciousness, Atman, which is Purnata itself, the completeness. Therefore, no supplements or no addition or no add-ons are required. This is the Purnata, Purnam, which is being told about the Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. What is the being said? So once having reached Purna, there is nothing more Purna to be made, because you cannot fill the cup which is already full. When Krishna said Manyate, he used the word Manyate, means considers or regards, is the meaning, literal meaning of Sanskrit in that. He didn't use the Ichchati, Prarthayate or etc., which means desires or seeks blessing, etc. Yukta does not seek further gains. He does not even consider any further gain as superior to what he has already achieved. This marks the complete reorientation of the faculty of Antakarana. Because Antakarana is always otherwise, when turned outward, is in comparison. Either happiness or sorrow, all dualities. Less happy, more happy. Less sorrow, more sorrow. Like that. And this faculty, when it is turned inward, It is not a suppression of desires and other gains which are happening at the body level. Therefore, the manyate is a state which is left intact after having realized. I refrain from perceiving what I still consider superior. No, there is no such statement. But it is a transformation of the very faculty that assigns the value. And the transformation, the manas that forms the transformative or the evaluative need, has been so thoroughly restructured by the recognition of that Atyantika Sugam or Atman, that it is no longer performs any operation. Living that state is immovable. Na vichalyate. Yasmin sthitaha na vichalyate. See, the ordinary experience of suffering works through the body, mind, intellect complex with the false identification. The body suffers because the jiva identifies with the body itself. The dehatma adhyasa is the mechanism through which the dukkha reaches the apparent jiva. And that causes it to waver, vichalyate, from what in the variations which we are familiar with. But the yuktaha, who is sthita in the Atman, Atmani sthitaha, has dissolved his identification to the dehatma buddhi. So vijanataha, having realized his own nature, he recognizes the body as an upadhi, an instrument through which prarabdha karma operates, and not the nature in which the knowing principle is undergoing any of those prarabdha. That is the swarupa or the Atman. Therefore, the body may suffer, Atman do not suffer. The andarindriya, or inner instruments may register pain, pleasure, etc. But the Atman is a witness or a knowing principle in which it is happening, not affected by the happenings. Therefore, the guruna dukkhena may strike the body mind instrument, but the established yogi or yuktaha, he does not waver from the recognition that he is now abiding. That is the ground in which he is standing. Not even the highest or the gravest suffering on the body, mind, intellect level, or the empirical effects at the body, mind, intellect level. Tattvataha na chalati. From that tattva or the truth, tattvamasi, that is what we are. From there is no movement. That is why it is said that in the knowing, the transformation takes place at the individual level. We become established in that knowledge that I am the knowing principle, not the knowing instrument of buddhi. No, nor the awareness. I am the awareness, not the content of the awareness. I am the consciousness in which everything is happening. Without consciousness, nothing is there. Or without awareness, nothing is there. It was never separate from that consciousness or awareness at any point of time. Therefore, we don't have to get established it as a, new achievement. It is this which is being referred in the Upanishad as Mahato Vinashti. That's the greatest missing which we can make, or the greatest loss we have if we do not realize it in this life. Kargi says to Yajnavalkya, Kripana, is a person who is miserly because he is pecking the small happiness of here and there what is being brought by the Indriyas, when he himself is the storehouse of happiness, Atyantikam Sukham. Tarati Shokam Atmavit. We studied this in the Chandogya Upanishad. Narada was told by, Narada asked this question to his brother, elder brother. I heard that by the one who knows Atma, he crosses over the sorrows. We have to understand that when Krishna says that buddhigrahyam, atindriyam, atyantikam sukham is the labha or the gain which we already was having and we were never away or separate from it. Therefore, if we do not understand these 2-3 slokas of Bhagavad Gita, we have not studied Bhagavad Gita or we have not understood. We are all running after the so many other meanings and so many explanations and everything. Who is running after, have we asked? This storehouse of happiness through the andakarana, when contacted with indriyas, we think that is the happiness. It is just like when a pebble is thrown onto the algae in water, the depth and the clarity of the water is seen. But imagine when there is no covering on the water, lake. Even a boat which is floating on that may look as if it is floating in the sky. So clear is the mind, our buddhi, our andakarana, in which everything can be seen, everything can be experienced, but we go after the minute experiences and happiness and knowing. When we are the knowledge itself, we are the storehouse of awareness. I have no words to explain it further. It is talking about the Purnatvam, the Purnamada Purnamidam, Ishavasya, Shanti Mantra or Brihadaranya also received. It is just talking about the same Purnatvam which we are. We are Purna all the time. We have never been Apurna. We don't need anything. As a body, mind, intellect, when we are conditioned by the limitation of the body, mind, intellect, we think that we need these things. But when we know that we are the awareness, na adhikam labham, na aparam labham. There is nothing more to be gained. But we need to know that we are that. We need to shift ourselves. Yasmin stitaha. We need to establish ourselves in that state. Remaining at the body, mind, intellect level we think, if we can think, we can imagine and mentally cognize that, it will not happen. Only the Avarta Chakshu can take us there. That is why the Dhyana Yoga, which Krishna said from the verse 6:10 onwards, what he has been talking about, can culminate in this state. So Dhyana Yoga is important because of the training of our Antakarana for outward happiness. The Kathopanishad mantra is reminding me again and again. Paranchigani vidranatsoembu tasmat paran pasyati nandaratmi. Therefore, it is only looking externally for happiness. The true happiness is lying within us. Kaschid dhiraha. You need the courage to abandon looking outward, looking inward, turn inward. Pratyagatmanam aikshit. We see the true nature of our happiness. The Atma, the self, the I, the ego, everything which we thought is what we are, is not what we are, because they are all objects to me. Including my ego is an object to me, my knowing, my understanding, my unknowing principle. Therefore, yasmin sthitaha, we need to establish ourselves in that. I will stop here as Prakash will make the announcement. Next 2 weeks there won't be any class, and I have some commitments here. And after that, 19th August, I will be back in India, and the 19th onwards, we will resume the Indian time, 8:30 p.m. Indian time, and it will be Monday to Friday, every day. We will continue this balance verses of 6th chapter before we go to the Kaivalya Upanishad, and then to 7th chapter onwards again. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawada.
Thank you very much, Bindoji. I've opened the chat and hand raising. Any one of you want to come up and have a follow-up question or discussion?
Namaste. May I speak?
Yes,
Yeah,
Glenn.
hi. Namaste.
Namaste.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for your lesson there. I just finished writing 800,000 words on non-duality, and I wrote five Eastern books with AI. But I've been doing this for 30 years. My metaphysics, and when I discovered Advaita Vedanta, it was just a natural extension because I was already working in non-duality. I was writing on the universal. So, it's not as I agree is that it's the only logic that there is in Advaita Vedanta is purely logical. Everything is manifested from the zero. That's why we have a problem trying to describe consciousness and God. I write about this in the book. Is both consciousness and God is beyond symbol and beyond form. So any attempt to try to describe it is a contradiction in terms. What I'm trying to say is I go from the universal. So I wrote a book called the Ladder of Light, using the chakras. You go down and then back up, and I merged that with biblical references as well. So I've made a synthesis on we're all pointing to the moon, but the problem is people think that the finger is the moon. You see, what I teach is language, is that the symbol is never the referent. The word, the object is never the symbol we use on words is never the thing, and that's what a lot of people have a problem on in understanding this, because once you get it, the simplicity is well, it's just so simple. It's almost embarrassing. The first acknowledgement, though, is your one's ignorance, then acknowledging your ego, and then if you're able to pass that, is you can arrive to the self, all capital. So, if you want, I sent you both a position where on my webpage. The book is 13 books. It's 800,000 words and 13 different books. The one that's really interesting, probably for you, Binda, who seems to have some real knowledge in the Gita, is I give away a Bhagavad Gita written not in the with the commentary of Shankaracharya.
Yes.
And the AI was able to create a Bhagavad Gita using his how he used the language. So it's really interesting, and I'm giving that away. It's $1. My whole vision is to give it away. So it's 99 cents. It costs 99 cents because it's the cheapest price I can give on Amazon. It's my gift to the world. It's a full Gita, and it's 18 weeks. You go through the Gita one chapter at a time. And then at the end of the day's reading, there's a meditation, everything in the voice of Shankaracharya. And then after that, there's 3 other volumes that are 108 days meditation with Shankaracharya, which goes through the Gita again, but one chapter a day for 18 days. And then it goes into the Upanishads, into the sutras, the Brahma Sutra, and then into some of his own writings, and then of course the 10 Upanishads. So I'm very humbled and very excited that my whole life's work has been able to come together because of AI, and the way that I use it is because I'm a writer to begin with, so I bring a lot to it. And basically what I want to say is both the West and the East were pointing at the same thing. It's just that the East has Sanskrit has a much more perfect grammar, if I will. And
Yes.
so I'll leave it at that. The next project is to actually make a Sanskrit compiler, so that for AI, so that see what the problem is people do not believe that there's an absolute. And that's the first thing is belief. Belief is not knowledge, right? So, but there is an absolute, because to have an absolute, for everything to be relative, it has to be absolute to something. And so that's my position with why Advaita Vedanta is not only the path to self-realization and the self. It's just math. It's just by physics alone. The empirical proof is there. So anyway, I hope I get to know some people, because it's a very lonely life, not being able to share all of this. But anyway, I hope you get to take a look at the website. Get the Bhagavad Gita for 99 cents. I don't know what it costs your country, and you can then once you get it, you can distribute it free. So that's the other thing too. And that's what I would like to do is for people to distribute it to friends and that. And but first you have to take a look at it to see if you approve of it or not. So, and then at one point I'm actually going to translate it into Hindi and hopefully one day Sanskrit. So we'll see how that turns out. So namaste, Om, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn. Namaste, and very happy to meet you and know you very well. And I'll be glad if you can put your website in the chat so that others also can follow you. And those who are coming to listen to the replay of the room also will be able to visit your website. But your work is enormous work, and thank you for your efforts. I really appreciate it's coming from you, these efforts, and you have really found out the place where one should be in our lifetime. I have been taking class for the last, 6 years, and all my classes have been recorded and posted in the YouTube. It is there, and the link is there in the chat. And I'm glad to know you. Over to you, Prakash. You can do.
Yes, thank you, Bindoji. And thank you very much, Glenn, for coming up and sharing your resources. I saw your link in the chat, and I'll also pass that on into the house chat so that others can have access. So as Bindoji reminded us, we're going to be breaking away from this routine of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6:30 a.m. IST for a period which will last until August 18th, and the classes will resume on the 19th of August. So we'll have, and those classes will be at the regular house time for other classes like the 8:30 p.m. IST. So we'll have 3 days, and then we'll have the Sunday satsang or the open discussion, Advaita open discussion. And then the following week, it'll be Monday to Friday, 8:30 p.m. IST, where Bindoji will continue on the Bhagavad Gita. In the meantime, there's plenty of resources, either on Clubhouse, you can access them in replays, or the link shared in the chat, Advaita Retold YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We can access all these talks, especially this chapter 6 with the last 10 rooms. It has been a very deep manana into how one separates yoga and dhyana and the insight that is arrived at, and how that clarity arises through Sravana Manana and Nidhyasana. And so, eternally grateful to Bindoji for his meticulous offering. And so, as Bindoji mentioned, there'll be an interlude of Upanishad that comes up later in that. And I think Bindoji will guide us as we unfold the classes when we resume August 19th. And on that note, thank you everyone for coming. Thanks, Glenn, for coming up and sharing your resources. And I'll put them in the house chat. And I'll put all the information that the rescheduling in the chat and the house chat too. And thank you, Revati and Srini, for being in the audience. And as always, thank you very much, Bindoji. Over to you to close the room. And hope you have a wonderful 2 weeks when you can spend time, and then see you back on the 19th of August. Over to you, Bindoji.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Glenn, specifically for coming up and giving insight into your activities so that the others in the house, when they listen to the replay, they will come to know about it. And to Revati, Srini, for listening to today's class. And to all of you, those who are going to listen to the replay, please spend time on your manana, mainly on how to turn inward, the avrita chakshu. That is what is the most important aspect of it. And we'll meet again on August 19th. Hari Om. Namaste. Have a good day.
Hari Om, Bindoji. Namaste. I'll close the room now.